Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. This new moon in Sagittarius is at right angles to the nodal path, which suggests something that, although it's difficult to achieve, is actually very necessary in order to bring back onto the path. From Neptune in Pisces on the South Node towards Virgo is extremely service-oriented, coming from an empathy with the needs, moving towards a desire only to make life better for everyone. And Sagittarius is fun. Sagittarius is open, bright, bouncing along, fire sign, and very changeable, always ready for the next exciting adventure, the next strange new thing, a new idea, something more to discover, always expanding upwards towards the truth. How necessary this lightness, this enthusiasm for life in all works of service. And having Saturn moving through Sagittarius for the last year and a bit, and continuing for the next year, can also make it difficult to be spontaneous with the fun and the excitement. So now is the opportunity. And Mercury has been going through Sagittarius for a while and is still there for the next few days. Saturn is making two sextiles, those green lines, to Mars and to Jupiter in air signs. Mars and Jupiter are in lovely connection. So there is an open-minded approach to relationship difficulties. Probably a strong sense of the need for space in order not to be restricted by other people, but also a sense of being socially fitting, which is in a way emphasized by Venus connecting so exactly to Chiron, very aware of the practical problems that others have, and feeling a sense of responsibility for helping out, for being appropriate. Sagittarius is not about responsibility. That would be too restricting for the adventurous spirit. But Saturn has been teaching us how we are responsible for the effects of our own belief systems, what we expect to happen, what we fear, what we desire, the effect that has on the world. We are responsible for that. With Mercury and Saturn both trining Uranus in Aries, I feel that the gift is a lesson in detachment. Uranus brings a measure of spontaneity even to Saturn, and the message feels to me as let's be here, absolutely in the moment that we're in, so as not to miss the single opportunity, not to miss a moment. Once Mercury enters Capricorn, our mental focus will also be in the physical world, and right up to the 20th of December, Mercury will be approaching Pluto, a sense of impending fundamental changes. It is about the practical world, the everyday world that we live in, as well as the organisation of businesses and nations. It's our personal organisation, our personal way of life. So it seems to me we have an opportunity to bring these two things together, the detachment and the involvement in the practical. And this is brought about by being very present, present in the body. Where else can we be present? So present in every part of the body, landed in our life, in our experience moment by moment. And although this seems to be very self-involved, it actually is the way to connect with the truth of what surrounds us. So using our faculties, our senses, to see each thing in our world, each item on the desk, to see it for what it is, without putting any meaning or purpose or judgment on it, appreciating it purely for its existence and not for anything. One can be held so perfectly in the moment by the contemplation of one thing. And this goes for sound. Hearing music, 1 second at a time, one note, one vibration at a time, and moving along with it, part of the journey and the flow, with all the senses, being there with what we are experiencing. It's only in the moment of acute and present experience that the spirit becomes available to our awareness, and we are in touch with truth itself, simple and clear. On the 19th and 20th of December there are 2 astrological events, one being Mercury retrograding until the 8th of January, and the other being Mars shifting after 2 years in Aquarius into Pisces. These 2 things may seem separate, but happening as they do at the same time. It's a single movement in our experience. The Mercury will be withdrawing from Pluto just before it reaches it, as though that great change that we expected to be coming any minute is something that doesn't actually come just yet. And we have a chance to go back and check over exactly how it is, how things are working, and perhaps make changes. At the same time, with the Mars going into Pisces, there is a much greater sense of connectedness to everybody's feelings, emotions, reaction patterns, I have to say. All the more important to hold to that beautiful embodied detachment shown in the full moon chart by the Sun and Saturn trining Uranus, with the sextile to Jupiter and another to Mars. The sense is that during this end of the year time we will be able to hold ourselves in readiness for the future, in a position where we can become peaceful, possibly in the midst of turbulence. The last week of the year is particularly intense as all the aspects become more and more precise, the pattern very strong. But still it's a time which allows for really good communication, lots of loving, giving lots of space to each other to be different, not pressing, with Venus continuing through Aquarius, and during that last week trining Jupiter herself. I wish you blessings for this coming winter solstice, and we'll speak again just before the new year. We, the stuff of the world, await you. Existence itself is watching. Open your hand, your heart, and receive. Be a chalice at the fountain of creativity. Be filled to overflowing. Life is free, endlessly flowing through this moment, now. Fill your body with yourself to fingers and toes. Be here. Overflow through your senses into the world and meet yourself everywhere, loving and loved, awake at last.